All right. Howdy. Welcome back to another TeleDynes live stream here on the TeleDynes YouTube channel. Hope everybody had a good 4th of July. For those of you here in the States. I know I did. I usually have a good time cooking and cooking up a storm. Grill, deep fry. Deep fried food, all that good stuff. So, anyway, we're back. Try to keep this going every week, at least for a half hour or so. Haven't really had a lot of time this week. Been crazy busy preparing for the holidays and all of that stuff, and been writing songs. So that's kind of where my focus has been because I really want to get this new album done. But we'll go over a couple of things today. Just kind of maybe go back to some of the basics because I'm still working up the in guitar lesson one, guitar lesson series, starting from the very beginning all the way to kind of how to hold the guitar, how to start playing chords, how to hold the pick, all of that. And we'll go over just a little bit of it, but it will be in the final video too. So, for those of you who are new to the guitar or have been playing for a little while but want to kind of where to go, like what are the what order should I go in? What steps should I take to play, well, let's say rockabilly and this style of music in general? Um, the first thing that everybody learns, of course, is the strings, the numbers, not numbers, the what notes are on each string, and you want to just be in standard A440 tuning because that's what most music is recorded in. Although when you end up playing a lot of rockabilly stuff, and you listen back to a lot of these old records, yeah, it's not quite in tune. It's sort of a little in between the cracks, and some of that might be due to tape speeding up or dragging as stuff was transferred. But I think a lot of it is due to the fact that they didn't really, unless you had a I forget what it's called, a spectrograph or the old style of spectrograph or tuners that you would have. They were pretty bulky. They were fairly big back then. They didn't really have the electronic tuners and things that we have today. So people would tune on it with pitch pipes. And if strings kind of you know stretched out and things like that, and electric guitar mechanics were fairly new. I mean, you're talking about an instrument that was really only developed, had been around for maybe for a little over 20 years, basically. And then when you had floating bridges on the Gretches back then, intonation was always going to be off and out a little bit. They didn't electric bass unless you had a Fender, which was really brand new at the time, like a Fender P bass or something, or a Hofner bass. Then, and even those would have the floating bridges, and intonation would go off up here. A lot of people would play uprights, and uprights could be adjusted. You just, if the guitar was slightly out, the bass would play to the guitar, right? So, well, I think a lot of it is that. It could be also alternate tunings as well. So if you tune to, say, military tuning, which I believe is 456, it's a little higher than, a 440, obviously. So when you go and you try to play, at least I remember trying to tune my guitar to a Johnny Cash song, and you go to try to play Folsom Prison, it's not in E and it's not in F. It's somewhere in between the cracks, right? Closest is F in A440. But if you tune your guitar to military tuning, if it's the A456, I think is the frequency, then it's fairly close, pretty spot on. So, but anyway, that was a sidetrack. Get sidetracked there. When you start, after you know the strings, you got it tuned up, you're ready to play. I would recommend going and getting the guitar set up somewhere, even if it's Guitar Center or whatever, just so the action is set right, the intonation is set right, and you don't have to worry about that sort of thing. Um, one of the basic exercises that you'll probably see in a book, and we'll go over that in the video too, but is going to just be learning basic open strings and open melodies and that sort of thing. Just by doing something like that, just to get your fingers used to working. An exercise you can do is just run up every fret. And if you're not used to playing the guitar, that's probably going to be a bit of a workout for you at first. That's just chromatic, right? And then go to the next string, and so on and so forth. Holding the pick is definitely get used to that. I've seen people, they'll play with their thumb or their fingers or whatever. You want to definitely get used to doing this. This is not something I can stress enough, unless you're doing, finger style or something like that. It's a whole different thing. Hi. Hey there, Eric. Thanks for joining. So then with the pick, the way you'll see it described for the most part is you take your, you want to put it right between your index finger and your thumb, the way it kind of curls over, and you just stick it right there. And that's basically what you want to be doing. And I know that I remember when I first started, the pick would start doing this and sliding around and moving around a lot. So you want to kind of be aware if something sounds weird or whatever, just keep an eye and make sure that pick, as you get used to it, it'll just become second nature. Like it's like an extra appendage, right? It'll just feel like it's part of you. But one way you do it is you just relax your wrist and then turn it over. And then wherever the thumb touches your index finger, that's kind of where you want to slide the pick in. And then as far as the fretting hand goes, you want to make sure, you're sitting upright. You're not slouched over. Don't go to any weird positions. That can lead to all sorts of wrist and arm problems. You want to make sure that your fretting hand is parallel to the fingerboard, and that your thumb is back like that for most chords. And you'll see people all the time with the thumb up like this. So it's not, I do it, everybody does it after a while. But when you're first starting, it's a good idea to try to, as much as possible, keep that thumb, don't let it go way over here. I can't really see that, like down, like you don't want to have it too far like that. There, obviously, if you're playing this kind of guitar when you're up, or any kind of guitar past the cutaway, you're gonna have to make adjustments. But for first starting, other than the strings, you're going to be dealing with open chords. That's the first thing you're going to deal with. And one of the first chords you can learn is G. Usually the way that's played, or the way you'll see it described in any beginner book, you can get any book you want on Amazon that's pretty much all the same. You want to it'll have your middle finger on the 3rd fret on the E string, index finger on the 2nd fret on the A string, and then your ring finger on the 3rd fret on the top E. So you're just, right? Another way you can play that might be a little bit more comfortable is, instead of using your ring finger down here, you can use your little finger instead. So you'll come across music where, okay, kind of going out of focus here. Where you'll see both. You'll have your ring finger on the D here. Wow, it's really going out of focus today. And on the top G. Kind of hear the difference there, right? So that's kind of one thing I wanted to address too, is there's always different ways of playing chords. There's never one specific way of doing it. And I wouldn't say there's any right or wrong way to do it. It's more about just what's comfortable for you, what works better in the moment and for the song. So for example, if you want to go back and forth between G and C quickly, right? Whatever rhythm you're doing, do something like that, you can adjust the way you play the G string. So instead of putting your index finger and your ring finger or middle finger up here, you can just flip that, keep your little finger down here, put your ring finger up on the 6th string, and put your middle finger on the 2nd. Play it like that. Now, why would you want to do that? Because if you're playing a C chord, this is the positions of the C chord, right? You know, third fret A string, 2nd fret D string, open G, 1st fret C. Let the open E ring, right? You kind of usually mute the bottom string. That's where you'll usually see it, but it can ring out because it is part of the chord. So to make a G chord, you're just really moving your middle finger and ring finger down one string, like that. So then what you're really adjusting is, you can keep that high G going, right? Instead of a high E. That's still a C chord. And then the only thing you're changing are these two fingers. G, C. And you can go. Well, you're going to run a lift up on that C when you're playing the G. So you're just doing that, 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 that. And it's just a little easier than going, right? So it creates a smoother transition. So those are little tricks that you can learn, where playing the standard form of a G is not conducive to doing something like that. In the same way that you have like an A chord, right? You'll see it written like this. You have your fingers like that, and that's not, nobody plays it like this, unless you're, after a period of time, you're not really playing an A chord like that. You're just going to play it like this, bar it. Because especially if you're playing power chords, you want to go down to an E. Whatever. It's easy to switch. You don't have to worry about doing this. It's easier to do. Same thing when you're playing the bar chords, right? I've mentioned that before. Instead of trying to do this, which is very awkward, that's the way you're going to see chords being played. So, just a quick side note on that and the different fingerings and positions you can do. After G, you got C now, and then another third chord is D. And that open D, index on the 2nd fret, G string, 3rd fret, B string, the D, and the middle finger, 2nd fret on the 1st string. Right? And there's a 1-4-5. So there, just with those 3 chords, you can play a lot of different songs. And a lot of people will do that too. Even if you want to change the key, you can just use a capo and move it up and still use those same chords and still play a bunch of different songs. So those are the 3 first, I would say, introduction to playing the guitar, the basic open chords. You want to get used to that. And the best thing to do is to just practice changing from chord to chord as smoothly as possible. So if you're playing a rhythm like that or straight, when I come back up, when I come back down, before I come back down, your chord should be, you should be switched already. Give you a split second to change the chords. And that's, you want to get used to playing that and getting the dexterity up, right? Ah. And as you can see, my thumb is on the top here, so I'm trying to move it down here. It's not very conducive to playing chords like this, especially a D chord. You don't really want to do that, so you want to make sure that, again, the neck is still rested here. And that's going to cause your thumb to go up like that. So with certain instances, you don't want to be doing, the reason why they tell you to do that with the thumb is because you don't want your wrist to be like this. So it's hard to see. You don't want this to happen. You want to make sure your wrist is straight. Because if you do this, it's going to hurt your wrist. So you want to make sure that, so with certain chords, you're going to get that. And with this, it's fine. Your wrist is still straight. It can be turned. Your hand can be turned. It's not like you're doing this. You don't want to do that. Like, it's hard to see from the back, but you don't want to do that and smash your palm. Your palm should not be touching the back of the neck unless it's a very, very specific reason to do so. Which you know, again, I'm jumping around a little bit, but, and that's why I'm making the lesson series. So it's one thing at a time. So we can, so you can have that in a playlist. You'll see somebody like Chet Atkins do this all the time, or Hendrix even, right? Whatever though, yeah. So they'll play a bar chord like this, and Chet Atkins did it because he would use his thumb to bar the bottom of the notes for the pick to walk up, or he would need to have that there because he couldn't bar the note down on the bottom, so you'd have to have that open. So like if you're playing a I have my thumb pick on me. Right? So that little, I got to be able to do that because I also am bouncing between the D and the A. Open. So got to have that open A in there. So that's, I can't do this. It's going to be closed, right? So you have to have that open. So that's where it can come in handy in a specific instance. So a lot of thumb pickers and finger pickers will do that. They'll go back and forth. And so, but they're not staying there the whole time, right? It's a brief little phrase and then they move on. So it's if you're playing like this all the time, it's going to put a lot of strain on your thumb. It's going to put a lot of strain on your wrist and hand and everything else. And of course, rule of thumb, pun intended, is if it starts to hurt, just stop. Stop, rest, relax your hand. Don't strain it. Don't keep doing it. Don't keep putting stress on it, because that's just going to damage and cause pain later on down the road. Oh, hey, Stray Cat. Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad you got it. Yeah, the t-shirt. I like those t-shirts. I think was the sign, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of our main t-shirt that we sell at the shows. And I am going to put them up on the shop too, on the channel, once I get some few minutes here, however long it takes me to set that up. We've got some other stuff coming too. We've got some other other new logos and things. Right now I've used it periodically on thumbnails and things like that, and we do have the t-shirts live, of course, but right now there's no real way to get them. I mean, I guess the Square store is one way. Um, but I'm eventually going to flip everything over to Shopify through YouTube, which will also go through the website and everything else too. So, all right. Uh, yeah. And again, you're welcome, and thanks for reaching out too. So I could definitely happy to do that for you. Let's see. So you got those chords. You got those 3 basic open chords. That's going to be the first step. Then I would go to an E and an A. And after that, you really start getting into, there's B, B7, right? F is, you can play it like this, which is a partial bar chord. You're just not playing the bottom 2 strings. B flat, on the other hand, you can do it like this. But after you get used to switching around on these chords, you got G, C, D, right? Then you want to get used to switching between, you go C, F, G. It's another 1, 4, 5. Then you want to go E, A, B, 7. And you can look up these chords on, they're going to be in the video series, but you can look them up on, just basic guitar open chords. Just Google that. You'll get like a sheet with the tab or the chord shape boxes. And then you want to get used to going E, A, D. Right? And you'll see, there's chords, the same chords are going to be in different keys and that sort of stuff. But you want to get used to going from all different chords, never just, that way you're used to going from a G to an F, or G right to a D, or an E to a G, or whatever, C to an A. Not as common, but it does happen. Random nonsense. Doesn't mean anything. But you just want to get used to that flipping around. And the best way to do that is to learn songs. Take a song, doesn't matter what it is, and pick your favorite, find the music for it. You don't need the sheet music or anything. You just need the, what is it? Ultimate Guitar is usually what comes up when you type the name of the song, chords, and then it'll come up on the Google search. And just see what the chord is. If you stumble across a chord that you're not sure of, look it up. And then that's what I do. And then I can figure out how to play that chord. And then practice going from one to the other, right? And eventually you'll get used to playing all different sorts of things. And that's the basic way I started, was just learning songs, going through. For me, I was the Beatles. I just got the book, and I just went song to song to song to song to song, just learned to play all of these different chords. And then the bar chord thing, that's really the mark, I think. That's usually about, it depends on how much you play. But I was always told, after about a year, once you get past that 1 year mark, then you're going to either keep going with it, or you're just kind of either play around with it a little bit, or you're going to go on and go to the next level, so to speak. By the time I was playing bar chords, it took me about a month, maybe 2. I want to say, I remember starting in October, and I quit. I played for, like, I don't know, a couple days, and I quit. And then I went back to it about a month later, and then I said, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to actually learn how to play some chords. And that's when I started learning the bar chords. And by the end of December-ish, I was able to play stuff like that, right? And it was a little, I would like to say it was a little easier back then, only because a lot of you could go to the music store and just get music books. And they would have the shapes of the chord blocks on top of the lyrics with the melody and everything else, just like a fake book would have. And it's just harder to find stuff like that. The way everything is online, it's just the chord name without showing you like how to play that chord. So I could learn the song and what the chord was at the same time and just look at that shape and just try to mimic that. And then you start adding to your chord vocabulary, and you'll see things like G7. That chord comes up often, and you'll get into minor chords. A minor, E minor, G minor. You can go like that too, I guess. Gotta have that B flat in there, so. But that's what you usually just see that with the top 3 strings. G minor. So yeah. If that's where you are, if you're in the open chords, go through all those open chords. Practice changing one after the other. Then move on to the bar chord. And the easiest way to think of a bar chord is if you get used to the E, try playing an E instead of using your index finger, ring finger, and middle finger on an E. Play an E like this with your little finger on the 2nd fret D string, ring finger on the 2nd fret A string, and your middle finger on the G sharp on the 3rd string, 1st fret. Then take that shape, move it up 1 fret, and bar the chord. Move it up. There you go. And if you're having trouble getting that stretch, like if it's muted like that, obviously you play each individual string to see where your problem is. Move your index finger further up, just a little bit, doesn't need much, and then push your wrist further under the neck. If you're doing this or something like, it's not going to work. And then practice squeezing down. And if you're still struggling after, I don't know, a couple of days really trying to get it, it could be a setup issue. Especially if you're playing acoustic too, that's going to be harder. Just right off the bat, it's just going to be more difficult. And if the acoustics aren't set up right, and a lot of the times when you get them from the store, they're not, the action is going to be considerably higher, especially down here, because the nut isn't filed down properly. Then it's just going to be harder. But you do want to get that strength up, and you don't have to play, but once you get that position and you play each individual string, just hold it until, your hand gets a little tired, and then stop. Then go back to it. And before you know it, you'll just start doing it. And I know it's boring, but what I would do is I would just get that position, and I would just watch TV or whatever, and I would just hold the guitar and concentrate on something else. It's the same thing if you're trying to get a riff down. If I'm trying to get a lick down, when I was trying to get that Mystery Train riff down, I would just practice doing this. For those of you who are trying to get the finger picking stuff down, that's a great way. Just sit there and just whatever, you're watching TV and you just have the guitar, and you just practice your thumb. Don't even worry about the rest of it. Just get used to doing that. For the Mystery Train thing, I mean, you've got the original. And then the other one. There might be one other one too. I don't know if there's a couple. There's a couple different versions, like some other blues type stuff. But those are the two I usually bounce back and forth between. And to get that, I got the video on it, but some adds so much, right? And you just sit there and practice, break it into two different sections, and it, you just keep doing it, and after a couple of days, it'll just come natural. Again, it'll all feel second nature if you went after a while. Let's see. Playing stuff like that, little riffs and things, scales, learning scales, and a lot of that all that is just a scale. It's a D major scale. I'm just playing the little passing tones. You hear that in like Two Hip Gotta Go and other types of songs. Setzer does that all the time, and you see a lot of different. You can play it in the right. So you can reverse that if you're playing up here in this position. So it puts this. So instead, you can do. Keep going with it. You're just bouncing back and forth. You're just playing these little passing tones in between the fifth and the sixth and the second and the third. So you play the minor third in between, and you play the sharp five, and you're just passing over it, and that's what creates that sound of swinging, right? Although you can play just major scale stuff too. Right? Pentatonic stuff. Kind of mixing the major and the minor there a little bit, but generally it's pretty much all pentatonic. All right. Well, so kind of jumped around a little bit today, but I think that's good for now. I'm going to I'll probably keep these short, at least until we get back into the swing of things, and doing this once a week. And I'll still be working on the next video that's coming up. It's just been crazy busy trying to get everything done and accomplished for it. I keep going through and editing and making changes and that sort of stuff. And I've got a couple other a couple other gear demos coming up, as well as another lesson video. Like I said, that's going to be This Cat's on a Hot Tin Roof will be the next like full lesson with the intro and outro, all the stuff that I've done before. So, all right. Until next time, have a good one, everybody. Thanks for joining in, and thanks for liking and subscribing and all the comments, and appreciate any questions and anything else. Whether you comment on the live chat or whether you comment on a video, I'll probably see it more than likely. And I've got a bunch of requests for tunes that are on the list. They are happening. It's just taking me a little bit of time. This year has been more frantic than I expected. So until next time, have a good one, everybody, and take care. We'll see you then. Take care.